couple going.
Okay, cool.
We are live, Catherine, in the Rebels and Rule Breakers Facebook group. Hello, R&R family. This is the lovely Catherine Faraday. And first of all, apologies, we're on a little bit late. We had technical issues. It's, you know, it happens all the time. We are human beings trying to communicate with machines, and that's not always a slick process, is it? No. So, but we are here now. Yeah. And Catherine is nicely wrapped up there because she's just been out for a doggy walk.
Dog walk. Yeah.
Bloody freezing today, isn't it?
It was really cold. Yeah, I thought it was just me. I just can't seem to get warm. But
no,
yeah.
I had a scarf on in my office before as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm out in my office. I just put the heater on, so hopefully, otherwise we'll get disturbed by 3 dogs.
And you've got a wonderful angelic light above you, almost as if it was a halo.
Yeah,
I'm going
not
to
sure about that.
A natural halo.
Oh, bless you.
So guys, let me give you a bit of an intro to Catherine. Yep. So Catherine and I met through Julie Foster, didn't we? And the Foxy Femipreneur group. Yeah.
We did. Yeah.
It's a fantastic networking group. Julie is a mum of 2 grown-up children, 30 and 32. Also has a 7-year-old granddaughter, Ellie, who apparently is lush and is a mini me. That's right, isn't it, Catherine? Or a mini
Absolutely. You can tell I come from Bristol because she's girt lush. No, she really is. She's lovely. Yeah, she is lovely. Yeah, she's honestly. My eldest daughter was quite hard work growing up, but Ellie, you know, it's almost like she's. I don't know. We just think the same. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like
lovely.
Mad. Yeah,
she is lovely. The old block.
Yeah, she's really lovely. Yeah. Yeah,
and
I'm very lucky.
Brought your kids up as a single mum, very proud of it, and you've turned out 2 very strong and determined young women.
Yep, both of them single.
Oh, bless.
I don't know what that says, but no, I just think they're quite fussy. You know, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you're an animal lover. You've got
I'm an animal lover
and 3 dogs. Flipping it.
Yeah, 3 dogs. Yeah, I had 10 puppies at one point.
Oh, but, wow. Yeah. Gosh, that must have been hard to let them go.
It was very hard. Yeah. Heart rolling heads. That's why I ended up with 2 of them.
Yeah, I can totally imagine that. I have to stay away from sort of, you know, looking at. I have it in the past done quite a bit of volunteering, sort of at a dog's home, but I don't get involved with the dogs directly because I know that it would just upset me and I'd bring them all home.
Yeah, I know.
Lucy wouldn't be very happy about.
No.
Very unhappy about it.
Is he better now, by the way?
He's much better now, thank you. Yeah, he's behind me playing with something and probably tearing something apart as we speak. So if you hear strange noises, that'll be him.
Okay.
So, Catherine, your passion is, and your business is, well, your business is Nuts About Nutrition. Is that the right name? Yeah.
That's right.
And you help people with sort of health, weight loss, chronic illness, and so on through nurturing them and helping them with the right nutrition and all of those aspects, don't you? So tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, so I don't know whether I suffer from, or I said I don't suffer. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition when I was in my 30s.
Right.
And I kind of worked out how I got that. I think part of it was to do with being pumped full of antibiotics when I was pregnant, which is why I'm really passionate about, you know, unfortunately, sadly, we come from, you know, the health service is excellent as it is, and especially, you know, for emergencies, they are brilliant, but the doctors are trained. And this is my frustration because the doctors are trained for giving medication that, you know, that's it. They go, and I've spoken to GPs, they go through their exam and it's okay, well, what medicine fits this? They don't get to the root cause, which is why I decided to train as a nutritional therapist, because we've got loads of tests available to us that you wouldn't get on the NHS. Yes, you have to pay privately, but what I will do is make sure, I seem to see many clients, most of my clients they come to me for weight loss, but they're chronically ill as well. And that's obviously why they're struggling to lose weight, or one of the reasons they're struggling to lose weight. So I will leave no stone unturned in finding out what the root cause is. And that's, I think I'm quite intuitive as well. So, and I do use a very empathetic, I can't even say it. I'm an empath. basic, that's the one.
It's a tricky word.
Pathetic, I don't know, but yeah, no, but I hold their hand all the way through, and I'll nurture them through the process. And you know, a lot of my clients are actually therapists that I see.
Right, that's
And if you
interesting.
think about it, they are empaths as well, and probably
Yeah,
the last person they look after is themselves. So
always
it's
the
easy,
way.
isn't it, to tell everybody else what they should be doing. You know, we can all do that, but then, you know, to actually think about yourself, because sometimes I think, oh my god, but you should know this, and they probably do, but you know, it's just, I think sometimes it's just having that person to sort of
Yeah,
say,
you're so
you know.
right.
And
It's
it's not just
fascinating.
about diet, it's about lifestyle as well, very much so.
Yes, and that's so important, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's fascinating what you say about how doctors are trained, and you know, I know I bang on about this quite often, but the guys in the group who were on the Elite Mentorship Forum, EMF9, led by Peter Sage, will recognise this, certainly this
yeah,
concept that you're talking about. So Peter Sage talks about how doctors and medical professions are trained in illness,
yeah,
they're not trained in wellness.
no,
And
exactly.
that for me, when I heard that, was like, oh God, of course, that makes so much sense. And
Yeah,
particularly when you look at how the industry is structured in terms of, you know, you talk about matching medications to illness. You know, they are encouraged
mm,
to sell, to, you
yeah,
know, to get these pharmaceuticals off the
yeah,
shelves and into people's bodies. And there are so many toxic chemicals in there. It's no
yeah,
wonder that we're all encountering illnesses. I talk quite a lot about how, and I loved what you said about getting to the causes. I talk a lot about how, you know, you go to a doctor, a GP, and you say, for example, I've got a rash, and
mm,
the doctor gives you pills
yeah,
to stop that rash, and then you go back and you say, hey, these pills are giving me headaches, so they
yeah,
give you some more pills, and that then causes you with stomach
yeah,
problems, so you get more pills for
yeah,
that. And what isn't happening is a conversation to say, let's find out where this rash is coming from,
yeah,
and digging into the fact that it might be just that you've changed your washing powder recently and
yeah,
you're allergic to it,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, or steroid creams or anything like that. And the thing
Yeah.
is, and they do, I feel like I'm running doctors down, and I'm really not, but they do get paid to prescribe medication.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like the whole statin debacle. You know, it's and
Mm.
I know because I've done pharmacology courses with a fellow nutritional therapist, and she was horrified. You know, she worked obviously in a pharmacist as a pharmacist, and
Yeah.
where she's seen healthy people being prescribed statins because they're over the age of 50. There's not even anything wrong
Yeah.
with them, but they shouldn't be having
Yeah.
statins anyway, but that's a whole other thing. But and they ended up with dementia within 5 to 10
Oh
years,
wow.
ended up with dementia, and she's seen that happen
That's
firsthand. So
terrifying.
it's horrific, really. It really is.
And you
And there's
know,
so much you
you're
can do with
right.
food as well.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah,
right to say, you know, let's not, this is not about doctor bashing, because
no,
they, you know,
not at
I'm
all.
absolutely sure that all medical professionals go into that with, you know, the right intentions, and
Yeah,
because we want to help people. But the
yeah,
system itself is flawed, isn't it?
absolutely. Yeah, even
Lisa's
teaching at
saying,
school. Yeah,
yeah,
they,
Lisa's saying people are frightened of becoming reliant on pills. I certainly am. I think,
yeah,
you know, long and hard before I put anything like that in my
yeah.
body.
Definitely, I do too. Yeah, no, I do too. And I've recently become involved with an organisation called the Public Health Collaboration,
All
and it's
right.
a guy who he trained actually within sort of sports therapy and health and wellness, and he set up this. It's a free organization, so it's a charitable organization, and what we actually do, I haven't started doing it yet, but I've just joined them, is we go round to GP patient groups, join the patient groups, and then
Right.
talk to them about what they can, what, you know, hopefully eventually would end up talking to the local doctors. There are some doctors involved as well that are kind of
Brilliant.
forward thinking. When I say forward
Oh, good.
thinking, it should be, it's logic, isn't it? But where we do a presentation, including the Eat Well plate model, which, you know, obviously the government or
Yeah.
the NHS put out there,
Yeah.
and not even GPs realise this, but the Eat Well plate guide is actually put together by food manufacturing companies. So it's people like Kellogg's and Coca-Cola, and which is what. But we've still got an epidemic of obesity.
Really?
They're telling you to have 40% carbohydrates.
That's
So it's like,
fascinating.
yeah. So it's
Wow.
so that all that I love all that stuff. You see, so It's
Well,
yeah,
that's brilliant rebellion. That's really good contribution rebellion, isn't it? For
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah. So
definitely.
what triggered this for you? What made you, so you said you trained as a nutritional therapist in your 40s. Um, what's your story as regards how that's happened then?
I think it was obviously my kids were getting a bit older then, so they weren't as reliant on me. And I had my own courier business, which has nothing to do with, but it paid the bills, nothing to do with nutrition, obviously. And it paid for me to get my education as well. So I'm very thankful for that. And the kids were getting older, so I wanted to do something for myself. And you'd kind of through observation, I used to, the kids would come home from school, and my youngest particularly would be climbing the walls if she didn't get food straight away. So obviously I was thinking, oh, blood sugar, maybe, I don't know. Did a bit of reading, did a load of reading about fish oils and studies that they'd done in prisons about behavioural problems and how it calmed them down if they had a fish oil. If you think about it, the brain is mainly, you're reliant on fat in the brain anyway. So
Yeah.
obviously fish oil
Yeah.
is great because it feeds that. So,
Mm.
and I was watching my parents getting older. My dad was in his 50s and he was like having all this medication. I'm thinking, for goodness sake. And then even my grandparents, who, one of my Swedish grandmother, she lived until she was 90. But when I went over to see her, she had she was rattling with all the pills that she was being given in the home. And I remember her saying she had really bad stomach problems. I'm thinking, it's got to be,
No
why is she
wonder.
having all these pills? It's because I think she probably would have, I think I'd rather die well than die in pain or die in discomfort.
Yeah.
I'd rather, do you know what I mean? I'd rather die in my 80s than being kept alive with all these pills when you're so uncomfortable you just don't want to be here. So,
Yeah,
or
I
there's
agree.
dying well, there's living well, and there's dying well, isn't there? So
Yes. Yeah.
And it was just and I've always thought as well, because it isn't just about saying to people, I think a lot of people think nutrition is restriction, and it's not, because I love food. I mean, I love baking, I love cakes, and it's all about sitting around the table as a family and that whole interaction, isn't it? That's what food should be about, which is, they say about the Mediterranean diet, don't you? But I think as much as anything, it's having that social interaction, isn't it? Which we're lacking at the moment. And I think that's,
oh, I really miss that. I
horrific.
love going out for a lunch or a dinner, or a cake and a coffee, something.
Yeah, it's just part of our culture, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So I love all that. I love food, and and I mean, I love cooking. I'm not, no, I think I said in the bio that I don't do housework, but I'll cook.
Yeah.
But my kids always used to say to me when I said, oh, we can tell when you're stressed, mum, because you always make loads of cakes. Whereas other people would turn to drink or something, and I just bake. So I guess it's the creative side of the brain. Pardon?
What's your speciality cake?
Oh gosh, the one that I will rustle up quickly, the Victoria sponge. I can do that really quickly.
Can't beat it with Victoria sponge.
And I actually do a fatless sponge which really rises with fresh cream and strawberries, but it ends up about that big. It's like a gâteau, but it's not too sweet. Do you know what I mean? It's just slush, just really fresh. Good. And
Lisa said, a little of what you fancy does you good. We get told so many things are wrong and told we should do, but not what is truly good for us. And it's confusing, isn't it? All the messages out there, there's always a report on red wine's good for you, red wine's bad for you, coffee's good for you, coffee's bad for you. But then there's so many horrifying aspects of what our food education has become. One of the things that really shocked me when I found out about it was the whole campaign there was in the however many decades ago about the sugar producing collective, paid Harvard researchers to actually produce fake research around how fat was very, very bad, and therefore let's have sugar instead.
Absolutely.
We are all taught that fat is bad, and fat is not bad.
No, it's the sugar. That's just it. And then you've got all the low sugar foods, which are either full of artificial chemicals, so aspartame and things like that, which the body can't process. I mean, actually, it's more likely to cause dementia and diabetes than sugar anyway. So it's just crazy, really. It really is, because we need fats. The brain needs fats for a start. And it's and this is the thing with the whole argument with statins, is that it stops you. One of the things that it does, it stops you from producing. We have a natural enzyme in the body called CoQ10, and we naturally stop producing that after the age of 30, 35, which is, they say that's why you get tired when you get older and stuff. I don't know, but and it's the powerhouse of the cell. It's what gives us energy. And if you give somebody a statin, then that depletes that altogether.
So it's
Which is
like
why
a
you see,
battery.
yeah. So you see a lot of elderly people that are, well, hence that guy in his 50s that ended up with dementia.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about it, the biggest part of the body that's going to be affected is the brain and the heart. They're kind of like, the heart is like the biggest muscle, and it affects your muscles. So obviously you know, the energy and everything that you'll find in Scandinavia. I guess it's a good thing. I mean, I don't agree with statins full stop. There are alternatives out there if somebody has to have it. And I would always look at giving a patient CoQ10. And this is, I think, that's the other thing. At least, you know, if we're going to give people medication, then look at supporting that medication. Give them magnesium, or, you know, do you know what I mean? It's you can
yeah.
You know,
Someone was saying to me the other day, or I watched it or something. I can't remember who it was now that was saying that when there's a country somewhere in Europe, I think, that when someone goes to the doctors and gets medication, they always get given vitamins and other nutritional supplements to go with it to counteract the effects of those pharmaceuticals. I can't remember who it was that was saying that now. If it's someone in the group, remind me. I feel like I've lost a really obvious memory somewhere.
I know Sweden do. I know they give out CoQ10, but of course, you see, I think this is the thing, isn't it? Because our health service is free, in inverted commas.
Yeah.
But you have to look at where it's funded, and the funding comes from pharmaceutical companies. They're not going to want you to give out vitamins and minerals, and unless you're buying it off of them. So this is the problem, isn't it? So and I don't think doctors are even allowed to say that, because it's more than their job's worth.
Yeah.
So they might give a leaflet,
really, isn't it? It's very corrupt, you know. It's
it is.
Oh, really. It's a tricky one. So what sort of how do you approach then a client sort of service? If someone comes to you, what's your strategy generally?
What do I do? Okay, so I do give them quite a comprehensive form to fill in. It is about 5 pages long, so it's a real commitment. Not just financially, but it is a commitment.
Do it though, doesn't it then?
And included in that is a 3-day food diary. So basically it's 2 days, you know, on a normal working week. 2 days would be your normal working days, and then a day at the weekend. So they fill in the form, send it back to me. Obviously, we've already booked in the appointment, they've paid and everything, it's all sorted. The first appointment, I tend to see people in blocks, I do a program as opposed to a one-off, because it's a journey, it's a health journey. And this is what I try and explain is,
mindset change, doesn't it? Not just eat differently.
Absolutely. And that is that whole education thing, really, is explaining that when people contact you, because I think we live in a society where you want a quick fix. Everybody wants a quick fix now, don't they? So, and you have to work at it, and I make that quite clear, that it's, and it's a collaboration. We have to work together. We go along that journey together, work out what works, what doesn't. And again, everybody is different, so it's not a case, I don't have one protocol for IBS and one protocol for something else. I look at the individual, very much the individual. It's and with medications,
we're very quick to label things as well, aren't we? We like to put things in a category. We like to give it a disease name or a disease name. You want to think of it that way. And actually, that I think that distracts from what's really happening. If you say to somebody, or they're able to say, I have got something syndrome, or I suffer from, what that's distracting from is actually what's deficient in my body is this, or what my body is trying to tell me is this, or what I need to change is this.
It's I see that so often, that where people, I almost like to see clients that are undiagnosed, because it means they're not taking shed loads of medication, so have to look at contraindications. That's one thing that I do. And I will always check. I will always go and see the pharmacologist that I know, who's obviously a nutritional therapist as well. So I will always check contraindications and work with that. But Yeah, I'd rather, and people, you know, and I think they like to have that label, don't they, almost? And I don't like labels.
Yes.
I don't
No,
like
I don't.
labels.
That's the rebellious nature of you,
Yeah,
Catherine.
yeah,
We don't like
yeah,
labels. We're calling
yeah,
ourselves, we're labeling ourselves rebels and rule breakers, aren't we? But we can do
yeah,
that because that's,
yeah,
you know.
absolutely. That just yeah. Yeah, so and I'll say to them, I don't want a label. I'd rather you came to me and the doctor hasn't decided what you've got.
Yeah, because
I
people
don't know
take
what
that
that is.
as part of their identity, don't they? They
Yeah,
say,
they do.
I am a
Yeah,
sufferer of.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
problem is that it's very difficult to detach from that and then make the change away from it because we
yeah,
own it. And
yeah,
you know, people like to almost that, you know, that I'm sure there's lots of us who know other people that where you know, wear their physical issues or problems as a almost a badge of honor.
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
because it's, you know, that's just what we're like as humans, isn't it?
yeah,
But
yeah,
even those who don't do it like that, you know, attaching an illness like that to your identity is very disempowering, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, it's I had one lady in particular who's, I mean, she's actually, I mean, she wrote a testimonial, and she's actually said, "You saved my life." I said, "No, no, no, we've
Wow,
worked together." She said, "No, you have saved my life." She
that's
was so
wonderful.
ill, she could not work. I mean, to the point where she was seeing clients, they were coming to her door because she works from home, she's a therapist, and she was actually physically being sick. And there's, I mean, there's loads of stuff going on. There's childhood trauma, which that she's worked on, but the body doesn't, the body has, you might be able to sort out the mind. I forget how the caption works now, but you can sort out the mind, but the body always has the memory.
Yeah, it
And
retains that pain and
it
suffering
does. It
physically.
does.
It
Yeah,
affects your
it
DNA
really does. Yeah. So, and
as
it's your
well.
vagal nerve and everything. Well, yeah, because they've done studies,
Hmm.
haven't they, on
Yeah,
Holocaust victims. And
yeah.
because I've always wondered how the survivors have lived so long. Some of the survivors, I mean, they lived till they were over 100. I think they must have been through hell. But it's almost like, in spite of what they've been through, they're going to live. But I do wonder
Yeah,
how they've passed that down, because they're talking about second
that's
and third
really
generations
interesting.
now, aren't they, that can be affected.
Right. That's
So yeah.
fascinating actually thinking
Mm?
about that. You
I've
know,
always
part of
thought
me
that.
thinks,
Yeah,
I wonder if they, you know, they hung on as long as they could so that they could be as a reminder to us for as long as they could
yeah, maybe,
on some
maybe.
level, you know.
Yeah,
It's quite
yeah,
interesting,
maybe.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so, and also there's epigenetics as well, which is another thing that I love, because it's
Ooh.
you know, that's the other thing. I think people tend to think, oh well, I've got the BRCA gene, so I'm going to get breast cancer.
Yeah.
Well, no, it is, you know, that's probably a very simplistic view, but just because you have cancer in your family doesn't mean to say you're going to get cancer. It's what you do to turn those genes on.
It's that
Sometimes we can
environmental,
avoid it.
isn't it?
Yeah, it
Mm.
is. And that makes it sound as if it's their fault. That really isn't, because we know we are all exposed. To me, I look at epigenetics in as much as how your body is detoxifying, as opposed to having the gene for cancer. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
do you see what I mean? I'm
I
simplifying it
yeah,
really, but
no, I totally see what you mean. And I think, you know, when we were talking about those environmental things, Lisa's put a comment in a while back that really fits with this, and saying that, you know, we're so fast paced and time poor and reliant on processed food
yeah,
also, you know, can be a
yeah,
carcinogenic sort of trigger, I guess.
yeah,
And you know, causing us to become unwell rather than having the time to cook from fresh.
yeah,
You know, there's all those things. There's a lifestyle we live with. There's, you know, there's you know, environmental elemental
yeah,
conditions, you know, that we're
yeah,
exposed to. Um, you know, there's so many factors, isn't there,
yeah,
that are contributing to like you say, switching on those
yeah.
genes.
And it prevents the body from working as it should. That's the thing.
Mm,
You know, even the things that we're exposed to just by sitting here, you know, it's, do you know what I mean? Sort of the whole
yeah.
um I mean, there's a whole debate about 5G and everything at the moment, isn't there? And all that sort
Oh
of thing,
yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but
Have you
it
seen? Go on.
no, and about, you know, killing the cells and everything else, and they
Yeah.
reckon it is, you know, I've got my own views about the whole lockdown thing, but then that makes me
Me
sound like
too.
I'm weird.
No,
That
I
makes
know what
me
you mean.
sound like an
I'm a bit
anti-vax
like that.
weird. But I think, you know what? I think there's just so many people out there. Everybody, in fact, everybody I speak to, well, there are a few that say, right, I can't wait to get the vaccine, going to get the vaccine. I'm like, okay, that's your choice. You know, everybody
Yeah.
should have the choice. But, you know, Sweden managed to do it okay. They seem okay with it. They've been quite
Mhm.
sensible. We are all adults at the end of the day, but by having, to
Mhm.
me, in my opinion anyway, I shouldn't really talk about this, should I? But by having lockdown, then the same has happened in Ireland. They had lockdown, didn't they? And then they announced, right,
Yeah.
okay, you've got, yeah, you're out of lockdown. Oh, but by the way, at the end of the week, we're going to be in lockdown again. So they all went mental. You know, do you know what I mean? So everybody was shopping as if
Yes,
it
so
was
it just
Christmas Eve.
counterbalances it. Yeah.
If we are adults, I think we should be allowed to be sensible and just,
Mm.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, that's a whole other
I I
issue. But
reckon we should do a whole thing about that one, Catherine, because I could very easily
I
go down
mean,
that rabbit hole.
yeah,
There's somebody, I can't see your name here, Facebook user, but somebody said, although it is so in relation to the whole genetics thing, although it's
yeah,
really important to learn about family history due to genetical predisposition. No, I
yeah,
think that's a really interesting point, and I think that my caution point around that, I don't know how you'd feel about that, Catherine, is yeah, I think it can be good to be informed and be almost forewarned, but I
yes,
wonder how much of that actually, so thinking, well, there's such and such a disease in my family, I wonder how much of that actually contributes mindset wise to us subconsciously switching that on as well.
yeah,
I know
yeah,
that sounds
absolutely,
probably a little bit far-fetched to some people,
yeah.
but
Well, it's all, yeah,
we know there's a massive
yeah.
mind-body
The
connection,
power
don't
of
we?
thought,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. So,
Hmm.
I mean, if somebody came to me and they had been ill, I mean, this has happened, they've had cancer or whatever, I would discuss with them if they wanted to go down that route, is to find out, because that's the other thing. Once they've had their treatment, and you know, let's hope they get through the treatment and they're well. Once they've had the treatment, they're kind of just left. So what do I do now? You know,
Yeah.
and then you're always worrying, aren't you? You're always thinking, oh, I'm going to go, you know, am I going to be clear? And there's always that, so
Mm.
there's the stress again. So I think
Yeah.
there's a big gap
Yeah.
there. So I would look
I
at gut
agree.
function, because obviously the going through the treatment has its own issues as well, and that can have long-term effects with thyroid and everything else. So
Mm.
that's where I would come in, and that's what I would look at and say, well, okay, we could look at your thyroid, we could look at maybe your gut function, because obviously 70-80% of the immune system's in the gut, and it's really important. um, and get them well, to move on, and make sure they're detoxifying, make sure they're methylating, and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. You know, because
Methylating, that's a good
there is
word.
a combination of things with when people, you know, you might have a. I mean, when children get cancer, that's another thing. They're born with that. There's you know, we can't prevent it. I mean, obviously, you know, you don't know what else is going on, but I
Yeah.
mean, that's terrific. But I think with when we look at genes and when we think, oh, well, it's in my family, like you say, you do wonder whether it's a mindset thing also.
Yeah. Matt Del Rio is saying it was him that said about the genetic predisposition. Really good comment as well, Matt. It was really good conversation point that. Rach is saying that she'd go down the rabbit hole with us and she'd definitely listen to that one. I can actually have up to 6 people on these broadcasts,
Oh,
so maybe I'll do a panel show at some point. We're not supposed to go political in this group, but I think maybe
no,
I
I'm
wonder if we could
sorry.
make it. No,
I
no, no,
have
it's
to.
fine. I wonder if we
Yeah,
could make an exception at some point. Interesting one.
yeah,
So, Catherine, tell me about so when you joined this group, did you already consider yourself to be a rebel or a rule breaker
yeah,
at
I
all?
did.
Good.
At first, I thought, well, I'm not really a rebel. Well, actually, I am, because I don't think like everybody else. I
Yeah.
really don't. And I think by
Mhm.
virtue of the fact of what I do, I question everything. And I
Yeah.
think,
Good.
and
Yeah.
it frustrates the hell out of me when people don't question anything. They just go with the narrative. They
Yeah.
just follow. They just listen to the media, where everything that they're being told. And it's, you know, it's there for
Yeah.
sensationalism, and it just, and that doesn't do your
Totally.
mental health any good, does
There
it?
to make
No.
money and to distract
Yeah, of
us and to keep
course it
us.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course it is.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
So how else do you do rebellion then? So we mentioned earlier that you were an empath, and I get that because I'm an empath as well. So I know that
yeah,
can be a blessing and a burden.
yes,
You know,
yeah, definitely.
how does that manifest itself in your rebellious life?
Um, how does it? Oh gosh, I used
Because
to, when
I
I
know
was.
it's difficult. It can be really tricky, can't it? When you
It
have
can,
that gift.
it can, because I very often can see what's wrong with people, and then I try and help them, and they're just, you know, you just want to shake them, don't you? But you can't, because I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
well, just stop doing that. Just, but you know,
You're harming yourself. Yeah, you're making life
yeah,
difficult for yourself.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. You know, I had people come into my shop as an example, when I had the skincare shop, and they'd say, oh, well, I've got eczema, I've got this, I've got that, and they want the magic cream. And I said, okay, so you look at, you know, have you looked at diet? So obviously, you know, and also the creams and stuff. So what washing powder are you using? What makeup are you using? And they don't, nobody joins the dots. Nobody can kind of see the connections. It's like nail varnish. I mean, nail varnish, for example, I mean, that goes, you know, one of the most sensitive parts of the skin that you've got on your body is in your cuticles. And
Yeah.
they're using formaldehyde and all that rubbish to
Mm.
go into and that's going right
Well,
into the body.
I'm definitely part of that camp.
Well, what you can do is go for instead of the shellac or anything like that. I don't know if you use anything like that. I don't.
I
But
use a different brand. It's not, yeah, I don't like shellac.
you could go for Maggie Ann, which is a really, really
Ooh.
lovely, clean nail varnish.
Right.
And it's instead of shellac or what's the other one? Gels. So you can get it off, but it gives you
Right.
the same. So for a layman, it's really easy to apply, just 2 thin coats.
Ah, that's
Honestly, it's
interesting.
brilliant. Really good, Maggie Ann.
I use something
Yeah.
called the gel bottle, which is all sort of, it's it's supposed to be all sort of hypoallergenic and all of that kind of stuff. Selena
Okay.
in the group will know exactly what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
So
So we kind of gone off point. Yeah. So
I love
anything
going that
really
point.
it's anything to do with food. You know, I just want everything to be clean and give us the best chance
Yeah,
of sort of having a healthy life, really. You
that's
know,
so
so it's,
needed right now. I think particularly this year,
isn't
that's
it?
really key, isn't it? Really key.
And that's the frustrating. You say about what else do I feel rebellious against? The whole thing about vitamin D. When I was saying right from the moment we had lockdown, right, and so I bought everybody vitamin D that I could think of. You know, they all had their drops and stuff. And Dad's going, oh my god, which bits do I take? What do I put in the fridge? Whatever. So so Dad just takes it, and he's actually pretty good. He's got Parkinson's, but he's 81, and he's pretty plays golf 3 times a week, and still has my granddaughter when he can, and you know, so he's not bad really.
Aw,
Um, and he's not on. He is on L-Dopa, but they haven't given him anything else because he's pretty well. So he has his cannabis oil, and you know, I do all that sort of stuff. Anyway,
I love a bit of CBD.
but the whole vitamin D, and it's like, well, why didn't they just roll that out in March in all the care homes, because the care, you lock people down, they're not getting out in the sun, especially in the care homes.
Good point. Now, am I right, Catherine, in thinking that
Mm.
vitamin D, if you're going to take vitamin D, you're better taking it in the morning than at night because it can trigger melanin or whatever. What's the sleep chemical, the sleep hormone thing?
Melatonin.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does something, it raises or lowers it, and it can disturb your sleep if you take it too late at night.
I've not heard that, to be fair. That there is food for thought to say to split the doses. So do it. So I would
Right.
do it like evening. I haven't heard that it would produce melatonin.
Mm.
I've not heard
What's the
that at
thing
all.
that stops you? Would melatonin stop you sleeping if it was too high?
No, melatonin is actually you produce that throughout the day. So you produce that as it gets
Right.
dark. So when we're sat at our
Okay.
computers all day and not actually getting outside, and you feel
Yeah.
tired all day, that's because you're producing melatonin, and it can actually so it's always advised, obviously, when you wake up in the morning, you get to the sunlight or whatever light you can
Yeah.
get to get the
Yeah.
serotonin production, and then as the day goes on, your melatonin will produce,
Right.
which helps you sleep. And this is why they say that you shouldn't be using laptops and phones, or
Blue
use the
light and
blue
all of
light
that.
blocking glasses and all that, yeah, before you go to bed, because obviously then that stops melatonin production. So that's why a lot of people
Right.
have problems sleeping. I haven't heard that
It,
with vitamin D, but it is best to
mm,
split the doses, even in the
right.
summer, or if you're being more
Yeah.
exposed to sun, because it can kind of wear off. So you need to, yeah.
Well, someone is saying I had replacement therapy for vitamin D and was told to take it in the morning. Maybe there's a link. Could be Matt. Who knows? I don't know. It's a Facebook user
I
again.
have also heard I have also heard to take it in the evening, because if you take it in the morning and then you go out in the sun, for example, if you're massively vitamin D deficient, which 80% of the population is,
Yeah.
then you should take it in the evening as well, because apparently the
Right.
sun, this is what I have been told, if your sun exposure can actually almost block what you've taken as a supplement. So if you're massively deficient, you should take it then in the evening as well. So
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Well,
yeah.
this is some good advice that we didn't expect, isn't it, today? So let's
Yeah,
talk
your vitamin
about.
D, your zinc, and your vitamin C. Everybody should be taking.
Excellent. We need to be getting lots of that in our systems at the moment.
Yeah.
So, what we belong to, as I said before, Julie Foster's sort of gang, don't we?
Yeah.
And one of the things Julie's definitely an advocate of is being our full selves, sort of unapologetically, and that's just something I talk about a lot. So would you, has that been something that you've had to kind of make a decision about at any point in your life, to be who you are, or is that something
Yeah.
that just comes naturally to you?
I think it does come naturally with me. So in some instances it doesn't make me very popular.
Same.
So I'm not I'm not a follower. I'm definitely
Yeah.
not a follower. Chris
Yeah.
said to me, my other half said to me the other day, he said, well, you don't really get on with people, do you? I said, what do you mean I don't get on with people? I think I get on with people. He said, well, come on, you're always telling me this. I said, yeah, but I'm just different, aren't I? It's not that I don't get on with people. I'm just different. I'm just me, and I do my own thing. I mean, it sounds awful, but I've fallen out with family members because they hurt me really badly, and that's the whole empath thing is being that hurt, isn't it, which goes to the core. And I find it hard to understand. I wouldn't treat people that way, so I find it hard to understand why people would.
Gosh, the same here.
What
I think is a good test of not being a follower is if you at a cash machine, there's two cash machines and everybody's in the queue for one and no one's in the queue for the other. I'm always the one that'll go and check to see if it's out of order first before I join the queue that everyone else is in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course.
I don't care how stupid I look.
Yeah.
I'm going to get there quicker. I'll go there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I used to think that, I always remember, I mean, going back at school, I suppose that was, I could say when I was at school, I always used to think, I'm never with big groups of girls.
Right.
I'd have a friend in like different camps, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I thought about this earlier today, actually. I've always had satellite friends that belong to different groups. Yeah.
And I remember saying to my youngest daughter, actually, because I said she was worried about having a party or something and having everybody together. And I said, sometimes you just have to accept that you've got different groups of friends and you keep them for different things. They won't necessarily all mix together. Don't get stressed about it, because we all have friends for different reasons, don't we? We're attracted to them for different reasons. So and I've never been in a gang, I'm afraid.
I haven't much really in my time, and it's nice to have those different friends because you always know, when there's something specific you need help with or support with, which person to go to, which is really cool. So have you got anyone that you sort of look up to as a rebel or a role model in some way?
Yeah, I have, and I've written it down, and I can never pronounce his name. It won't be. I don't think anybody will know who it is. His name is Rob Furkirk. I'll see. I could give you the link. And he's one of the founder members for the Natural Health Alliance. And he's just, oh my gosh, he's just massively intelligent, very well educated. He's got a PhD and everything. And he talks about the whole thing about the C word that we're not allowed to mention. But he questions everything and he does it in an intelligent way.
Yeah.
And he looks at the research and he tells. I just love him. So if you did want
to believe,
they just want to get the world healthy and I just love listening to him. He's got such a lovely voice as well. And so it's probably it's nobody that you would really. Furkirk, and it's I think it's the Alliance for Natural Health or something like that, or the World.
Right.
Yeah, I can send you the
link
on
there on here.
He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. He does loads of videos, and it's so funny because like when he's sometimes you get people that are labelled anti-vaxxers and everything, and they come across as being not necessarily being that intelligent, but he doesn't, and he just. Oh, I'd love to see him in front of a politician.
Got an educated
absolutely
opinion. Yeah, absolutely. That's really important.
And he questions. He doesn't tell you. He questions, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
So
I like
yeah,
that. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it, isn't it? Because if you preach,
yeah,
people don't want to know. It's
they
just
don't.
forcing your
Yeah,
opinion. Yeah.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah,
in your life as a rebel, and based on your experience of being truly who you are,
yeah.
what would you, if you had, if there were people in the group watching this now who were thinking, I want to try and be a bit more me, a bit more rebellious, what would be one tip perhaps that you could give people to do that?
I would say follow your heart and be who you are, be true to yourself. I always think, and this is that goes back to my whole family members thing, is that, my truth is more important, and I have to be true to myself. I'm not going to pretend for anybody. What's the point? We're here for a short, we're not here for long, are we really? It's
I
just,
agree.
and you just have to, just be true to yourself. Don't try and,
Yeah.
I mean, when I say people please, I have spent a lot of my life people pleasing, but
Right.
even so, it'll get to the point where it's, no, hang on, that's not right. So I'm very sort of, that's not right, and I just have to go with what I believe in.
So how do you know when something feels right and when it doesn't, when it's, right to kind of go with
I think it's all
your
about
belief?
integrity. So it's about
Mm.
integrity and truth and being, um I don't know. Maybe I have too many principles. I don't know, but I can't help it. It's just who I
So you
am.
are. Yeah.
It's who I am. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got lots of friends from different backgrounds, and they don't all agree with everything that I say, obviously, because that's what makes us unique, isn't it? But it's I would never go out and hurt. I would never go out to hurt anybody. It's all about your own truth, and then but I wouldn't
Yeah.
expect them to hurt me either. And that's I just
Yeah.
think surround yourself with people that are positive and that are gonna
Fan
that's
your
it, isn't it?
flames.
Isn't it? Absolutely,
Totally. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah,
It's all,
yeah,
all about, that sort of those values that you hold dear,
yeah,
and having people that, are
yeah,
in your life that align to them. That's certainly,
yeah,
something that I've cultivated over the last however many years, and
yeah.
particularly with my work, not trying to not work with people who represent a set of values that doesn't,
Energy
that jars
zappers.
with
You don't
me.
want those.
Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah,
So
energy zappers.
no,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, because you need people that
Absolutely.
feed your soul, don't you? Really,
Totally. Yeah.
I
Any
think.
good films or books or other resources or anything
Yes.
like that you
Right.
recommend?
Okay. Oh my God, the best film I've seen. I had to think about that one, but it was the last film I saw at the cinema, and it was called Dark Waters. Have you seen it?
I really want to see that. That's on my list. That's
Oh
about
my God.
that's the
Yeah.
true story, isn't it? Of the
Yeah.
of waters being poisoned
The
somewhere
Teflon.
in
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that solicitor, I guess solicitor, what you call it, lawyer, solicitor, whatever, that was his life's work. I think he was working on it for about
Wow.
20 years or something ridiculous, but his life's work. And he didn't leave any stone unturned, bless his heart.
Yeah.
His marriage nearly broke up and everything. It was real. That was his sort of passion. They got them in the end, but they have changed the chemical structure, so
Right.
we're still going to be exposed to something. But I think they may have changed that again. But honestly, the film was sad, and it made me angry, made me sad. It was just, but I came away and I was thinking about it for days afterwards. When it just really kind of, such a great
Impacts you.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, absolutely.
That
Yeah, no,
sounds
it was
amazing. I
brilliant.
remember seeing the trailer for that and thinking, "Oh wow, I really want to
Yeah,
see that." But it was so
yeah,
long ago. I saw that trailer, and I've not sort of seen it anywhere that I can
yeah.
kind of view it, legitimately.
But
um,
honestly, you had like there was whole sort of like a town of people that were, and the people that worked in the factories. That I mean, the animals, the farm animals were being born disfigured with
Awful.
multiple limbs, and then the people that owned the farm that actually started the whole process off, they both ended up with cancer. There
Wow.
were people that were having children that were deformed. They couldn't conceive, and honestly, it was just horrific.
So
And it was
cool.
all, they denied it all. And that stuff's in everything. It's in
It's
everything.
really frightening, isn't
Yeah,
it, when you think
yeah,
about things like that?
yeah,
Have you
yeah.
seen? Here's a recommendation for you, actually, that I think you'd like if you've not already seen. You probably have. Have you seen Heal on Netflix?
No, I didn't think I have. No.
Great. You would
Is
love
it?
that, Catherine.
Okay.
It's a documentary, and it's very much about mind-body connection. It's about how we
Okay.
can heal ourselves.
Yeah.
It's about genetics versus environment,
Yeah.
all of those things. It's a really fantastic film. There's a lot of good
Yeah.
science in it. Really, really great. So I'd
Brilliant. Okay,
recommend that
thanks
for
for that.
everybody.
Yeah,
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 cool.
brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. So,
You know what? This has been so good. It's been so nice getting to know you more because we've sort of hovered
yeah,
around
and
each other for
you.
a while,
We
haven't
did.
we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah. So, yeah, it was
It's
nice.
been
So
really good.
Julie's little group was good, wasn't it?
Yeah,
What she did with
she's
us.
great,
Yeah,
and
she is really good.
she so is, and we're going to get her on here at some point as well. Hopefully, her name will come out of the fishbowl of love soon.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it, didn't I? First of all, so I
That's
don't
all
know.
right.
I've been a bit been a bit
Not
sidetracked with
everyone's at
stuff.
my beck and call whenever I decide to go live
Oh, bless you.
randomly.
It's going really well though, isn't it? It's brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I'm really pleased with it. Actually, I think this rabble that are in this group are a right good bunch of people, aren't they? So I'm so
Brilliant.
excited, and I love
Yeah.
finding out more about people and doing these
Yeah.
conversations. I think
It's
it'd be
great, isn't it?
interesting to get a bit of a panel show going
Yeah,
at some
definitely.
point
A
as
bit like
well.
our own question time or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, that could be really fun. But I know
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun with it. And getting the opportunity to kind of dig into people's
Yeah.
life and how they do
Yeah.
life like this is
Yeah.
just really, really good, really
Yeah.
good. So thank you so much, Catherine. I
You're
appreciate this
welcome.
so much.
You're
And
welcome.
we'll hopefully we'll see some good reactions from this. And guys, if you've got any questions when you listen to the replay, throw them in there. I'm sure Catherine will be
Yeah,
happy to
sure.
answer.
Anything. Yeah.
And where can we find you sort of out there in the world in terms of what you do for
Well,
a living?
Catherine, if you just get Catherine Faraday, that's my Facebook, obviously.
Great,
Catherine Faraday Nutrition. But I think if you go into Catherine Faraday, it will just give you everything anyway.
fantastic.
So, or catherinefaraday.co.uk will take you to the website, and that's got.
Oh,
I
great.
do like to complicate my life because I've got more than skin deep, and that's about nutrition. So it is catherinefaraday.co.uk, and you'll
And
see
it's Faraday
Facebook
with
and everything
one
on there.
R, isn't it?
With one R, yeah, as
One
in the
R.
scientist Faraday, yeah. So
Oh, yeah, it's a good point.
yeah, so I don't take after him. I don't think I can't quite got his brains. I don't think, but he was a member of our family. But had she got married, he would have been called something else.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
so my claim to fame.
I'm still really enjoying that beam of light that's coming down over your
Oh
face.
yeah, no, it looks a bit,
Catherine.
doesn't it? My hair looks really frizzy. It's because I've been out with
It
the
doesn't
dog.
at all. It looks angelic in that light. It's
Oh,
lovely.
bless you. Oh, it's lovely talking to you, Em. It
And
really
you,
is.
Catherine.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
so much.
you're
And thank you
welcome.
guys for tuning in. And we'll
Yeah,
see
hope
you
you
soon.
found it useful. Okay.
Brilliantly
Take
useful.
care.
Thank
All
you.
right.
See you soon.
Bye. Have a good
Bye.
evening. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.